So thank you again for joining us. This is our new monthly series from Miraval called our Wellness Travel Expert. In this series, we'll be exploring trending topics in wellness, travel, mental well-being, and leadership with our esteemed partners like Camille, while providing insights and tools for cultivating mindfulness in our daily lives. Again, as you heard, my name is Jayme Marcum from Miraval. Miraval's mission supports individuals on their journey to creating a life in balance through mindfulness. Our compassionate wellness experts lead with an integrated approach to caring for mind, body, and soul. They light a path for guests to nourish physical health, enhance mental well-being, and foster spiritual resilience. Joining me today for our first session is Camille Burns, CEO of the Women Presidents Organization. Camille champions the WPO's mission to help second stage entrepreneurs around the world take their companies to the next level of success. The organization's unique approach to advanced business education, rooted in a proprietary peer learning methodology, has helped founders on 6 continents scale their companies for growth. Since joining WPO in 2000, Camille has worked to steer the organization's significant growth trajectory and expand its international footprint. Camille, we're so honored to have you as our guest today, and we're eager to celebrate International Women's History Month. If it's okay with you, I'll jump right into the questions.
Please do. I'm really happy to be here. As I was saying earlier, I love Miraval, so just wonderful to spend some time with you, Jayme.
Okay, thank you. We love to hear that. I recently read articles from CNN, Forbes, and Fortune that noted that women have been disproportionately affected by the pandemic. This reporting recounted everything from the type of industry they worked in to their ability to work part or full time with the added load of caregiving and increased home responsibilities. Do you agree with that assessment, and what do you see as the biggest trend in this regard over the last year?
Certainly, I agree with that assessment. I mean, I think we've all seen the data, and it's clear that women have been disproportionately impacted. I think children at home, not going to school, just managing more of those responsibilities, sometimes with aging parents, et cetera. It's just often fallen on the women. In terms of the trends that I see, first of all, I think that women in the community of women I work with, and we know, as you mentioned, we work with women entrepreneurs who are running multi-million-dollar companies, so successful women business owners, is that self-care that we do, or we try to fit into our life, seems to have gone on the back burner. Everybody has become busier and busier. We're all working way too much. And I think having work and home life sort of merged, I think that self-care is just not happening. And so, I think then women are also forced to sort of put on that brave face, right? And put that on for their family, even if they're anxious or scared or, going through whatever they're going through in their work life. And also with the entrepreneurs we're dealing with, wearing that brave face as well for their businesses, even when they're worried or concerned about their business, just making sure that their employees know that everything's under control. And I think that is also a burden that's fallen on women.
Right, that makes so much sense. Thank you for sharing that. Do you feel like this is strictly for entrepreneurs, or is this work and personal life?
I think it's both. I think that all women have been impacted. I think that entrepreneurs, I'm not going to say impacted worse, but I think just impacted differently. There were, particularly in the beginning of the pandemic, just so much fear around the economic state and what was going to happen with the economy. And then certainly women in industries that were just battered by the pandemic. I think entrepreneurs have an added stress of keeping their employees employed and making sure that they're keeping the business alive, or that they're making the changes that they need to be making as quickly as possible so that they can move through the pandemic as smoothly as possible and keep the business moving on the right track.
Totally. Well, it's clear that women in the workforce have taken the heaviest hit through this pandemic based on what you shared. At Miraval, this year's leading mission is to prioritize mental well-being. We have partnered with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, to discuss tools and topics openly with our community. What do you think the biggest misconception is about managing mental well-being?
First of all, I think NAMI is a great organization. So I applaud Miraval for partnering with NAMI. I think there's still a stigma around mental health and mental well-being. I think that the stigma can still be with if you're taking care of your mental health or you're taking care of your mental well-being. I like the way you term that, that maybe you're soft or maybe you're not as strong as you need to be, and that you should be, you should be able to handle that and get it under control. And when I think about mental well-being, I think that, at least in my life, and I think for others, it should be a priority. I think it should be a priority the way we might prioritize our spiritual well-being or our physical well-being. And, just the same that we would want to get to the gym or make sure we're eating right, that we're also taking care of our mental health and making sure that we're managing it and we're doing what we need to do to stay mentally healthy. And I think when we're talking about the entrepreneur, there's really two topics here. There's the woman business owner who needs to take care of herself, because if she's not taking care of herself, she's not going to be running her businesses effectively. And she needs to be there not only for her families, but also for her employees and customers and vendors and all of the above. But I think there's also thinking about the mental well-being of your employees. And making sure that you as a business leader are doing what you can to help your employees with their mental well-being. Like we were talking about before, I think everybody's working way too much. And I've seen that with our team where, we're getting emails at all hours. And I think that is a real burden. I think also just the anxiety of all of this, the economic insecurity, the anxiety of a pandemic, and just making sure that we're thinking about our teams and giving them what they need, what resources they need, so that they can be healthy. Because if our employees are going through a lot, they're going to be distracted and they're not going to be there for the company, and it impacts the company ultimately. I also think as leaders, I spoke a little bit about putting on that brave face, but I think there's also that need to be vulnerable, and that need to be a little bit vulnerable with your team and honest that this has been a really difficult time and we're all going through it, and not to put fear into people, but just to be human and let all of your employees know that you're also going through it and that we're sort of all in this together.
Wow, that is so true. I love that. I couldn't agree more. Thank you. I can't help but feel that self-care and wellness was the first thing to go out the women for women this year, like you said, ironically making them less equipped to take on the burdens and the stressors that accumulated. Another mission at Miraval this year is to offer tools for our home audience or those who are not ready to travel yet. So we offer 5-minute spirit and soul classes, as well as 10-minute sensory meditations that connect audiences with sound and sights of the nature and outdoors. We hope to promote the idea that centering oneself and carving out self-care me time is essential for busy women everywhere. As a female leader and role model, Camille, what are the top self-care and wellness suggestions that you follow? What advice would you offer others? I love this one.
Okay, well, I have a bunch. First of all, I love that you're doing that virtual programming because, like I said, I think that self-care really went on the back burner. And I'm a person who, over the last decade or so, when I got into maybe my mid 30s, I realized I had to make myself a little bit of a priority so that I could just be a better human overall. And so I think offering those opportunities to people is huge. For me personally, I'll say that exercise is huge for me. And again, sort of somewhere in my mid 30s, I realized that I feel like in my 20s and early 30s, I was working out to look good. I was working out so that I could eat what I wanted. And really there was a whole vanity around it. And then somewhere in my 30s, I realized that no, exercise actually makes me a different person and how I really need it. And whether that's my workouts or whether that's taking long walks, whether that's yoga, I think that's huge. I live in New York City, and I think sometimes just going outside and walking and remembering that, you know, the beauty of New York is you realize how small you are in this huge, massive world. And so sometimes that just helps me clear my head. And meditation, I'm a big believer in meditation, but I'll be honest, my meditation practice sort of comes and goes. I know when I have a strong meditation practice, I'm doing better, but the routine isn't always there. I love meditating with people. So before the pandemic, I every week was going to multiple meditations in person with people, silent meditations or sometimes guided, but just because I like that energy of other people. And so I've really had to work on, while I'm home, on meditating myself and getting that practice. And I have gotten a regular practice again, where even just a short 5 to 10 minute meditation in the morning really helps set the stage for my day and can really just change the way I enter the day, if that makes sense. But I love that you have those programs and tools, because it is harder. It's harder on your own. I think it's like exercise is a little bit harder on your own. Something else I'd love to share is that I recently, in the last 6 months or so, became aware of laughing yoga. And we've done it at a couple staff meetings. And if you don't know about laughing yoga, look it up online. We actually, one of our members and new board members, Ida Abdakani, she has a TED Talk on laughing yoga. So you should check that out. But it's just how uplifting laughing is. And I think throughout the pandemic too, we've forgotten to laugh a little bit. We're not out with our girlfriends or doing, you know, in the kind of environments where we might be laughing a lot. And it's been a heavy year. And I wasn't at this meeting, but there was a WPO meeting where they did a quick laughing yoga session. And some of our members, our women entrepreneurs, said afterwards, like, they can't remember the last time they laughed that hard. And I think that's a little bit what the pandemic has done. You know, we've let go of that part of our life and are just really focused on work and taking care of everything and making sure we're getting everything done. Also, because we're talking about Miraval, I will say that there's nothing like getting away to Miraval, and nothing like getting out of your day-to-day, right? Getting away from your family, putting down your phone, and just having the opportunity for a few days or a week to recharge and go on hikes or take the classes or read a book or just, you know, just put the email away and spend some time on yourself. And I know every time I've ever had the opportunity to go to Miraval, even if it's just 3 or 4 days, I come back and for like a month or two, I feel better. You know, it's incredible how much that unplugging and letting go can make a difference in your life, I think. Because it also helps you remember that work isn't everything. You know, you can't stop looking at your email every 5 minutes, and life will go on and the company will go on, and everything's not gonna fall apart. The last thing I want to talk about just for a minute, when you're talking about what I do and also thinking about it from the advice standpoint, is community. I think the pandemic really, we all know we've isolated, we're not spending as much time with people or any time with people. And I think in this digital world, finding community and connecting with others is vital. Our chapters, obviously, like any peer group or any kind of community-based organization, went virtual, but the members getting together every month and being with other women business owners and just having that community to connect with and talk about their issues with has been huge. Some of our members have described that as a lifeline for them. And so whatever you're into, it could be a book club, or it could be, you know, a group of other moms, or whatever you have in your life, finding those groups in a virtual platform, I think is really huge. And you're talking about the virtual programming you're doing. And I think that's just a really great example too, of connecting with something that's outside of your day-to-day and making sure you're just connecting with others, because it's huge. And I think we forget how important being with other people is, and how much that impacts our mental well-being and just our emotional well-being, and just what it adds to our life.
Wow, that was very good tips. Thank you so much. I think we probably all took at least one thing away from your different self-care tips and ideas. So thanks for that. And that concluded the question portion. We're so grateful to have shared this time with you and sincerely appreciate your participation in this ongoing conversation, Camille. Miraval helps people mend and maneuver through life by creating skills that build resilience, reframe perception, and support well-being. Self-care is a key factor in fostering our mental well-being, which women very often move to the bottom of their to-do list, like we talked about. Women are facing real cultural and systematic hurdles. There's commonality of putting on a brave face and holding back emotions. The face we put on is less important than the strength we can give one another. The appearance of strength is not as important as a show of support, like we were talking about with community. We need to amplify each other's voice and come together as a community. There's power in collaboration and showing solidarity. In honor of Women's History Month, let's celebrate all the strong, unstoppable women in our lives today and every day. I'm so glad we could celebrate International Women's Month together this year and continuing to bring women and wellness to the forefront. Thank you again. I think we'll just go into a couple of questions. The first one is, do you have a mantra you like to follow to stay motivated and centered, Camille?
Let's see. First of all, one of the things I do a lot is I say to myself, like, I want to be of service today, and let me be of service to others, and that I want to get out of my own ego, because I think that when we're in service of other people, and when we're thinking and coming from a place of service, we feel a lot better, right? And it's just a better way to live. I love the love and kindness meditations, and so sometimes I'll say some love and kindness mantras, particularly if I'm being hard on myself, or not having the kind of self-compassion that I probably need that day. And so I think those are really the two things that I just kind of repeat throughout a day or throughout a week, just to help me stay centered.
Okay, love that. Thank you. And then the other question is, what is WPO doing to support women entrepreneurs?
That's what we do. So we're doing a lot. Our groups are peer advisory groups. So they get together every month. We have incredible chapter chairs who are trained by us to facilitate and run these meetings. And it's a time for women business owners to come together in a small group and work on their businesses. And also, being women and being women running businesses, there's that personal life that comes in as well. You don't necessarily, when you're a business owner, separate that from your family or everything else that you're dealing with in your personal life. So just having that kind of support, we're all about women supporting other women. And I think that we also do that in a number of other ways. We provide a lot of content and tools for women business owners to help them with their businesses. But ultimately, it's the community. Again, it's just creating a community for women entrepreneurs and helping them balance everything that's going on in their lives and work together ultimately to grow their companies and be more successful, but also to be a better leader and a better person.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think there was one more that just came in. Camille, are there any companies or leaders that you look up with respect to how they support their teams on their self-care journeys?
That's a good question. I think that as a big company, I think Google's done a lot. I know a woman, Sandy Abrams, who is a breath specialist, and you should check her out if you don't know who she is. And she sort of talks about breathing. She has a book, Breathe to Succeed. And I know she's done work at places like Google and come in and done breathing exercises for the team. I know that some of our entrepreneurs have really worked hard in their businesses to support their teams, whether that's with health and wellness programs or learning pods so that people can bring their kids to work and still function. And I also know that companies like Miraval take care of their employees and do a lot to manage their health and well-being. But I think there's a lot of companies, and what I've seen that I love is that, when I started in the space 20 years ago, this was like a touchy-feely topic. And when we were talking about business programming and what we're doing for business owners, like you wouldn't touch topics like mental well-being and managing stress. It was like, we got to have the hard-hitting business stuff. And over the years, I think we've all realized that you've got major CEOs who meditate and bring in meditation into the companies. And so I love that there's been that shift, that taking care of yourself and your health and the health of your employees is a business issue. It's not a fluffy issue. It's how you're going to have a better business.
Totally. It's more of a focus now for sure
Yeah.
than in the past. Well, thank you again. I think that concludes the questions from our attendees. Thank you so much, Camille. This was so fun and we appreciate your time. And thank you to everyone for joining. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you'll tune in next month for our next session.
Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I love talking about this stuff, and just thank you for everything you do at Miraval and your work with NAMI and all of that. I think it's pretty incredible.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.